Hello, my name is Nita, and today in this reflection video, I'll talk about how early childhood educators can support multiliteracy learning and development. I'll be focusing on two articles. The first one is by School and Colleagues in 2021, which explores the development of the Early Literacy Engagement Assessment or ELEA, a tool that helps educators observe and measure how young children engage with early learning practices, particularly during conversational reading. The second article is by Lisa Kervin in 2016, which examines how digital play with iPads can provide powerful and playful opportunities for literacy learning. I'll share 4 to 5 key points from each article, and I will also link these ideas with the Early Years Learning Framework updated in 2022, as well as with other key research and theories such as Vygotsky's sociocultural theory and multiliteracy's pedagogy. The first article by Skull and colleagues highlights 4 important points that are highly relevant for early childhood educators. First, it reminds us that literacy development begins well before school. Skull and colleagues argue that literacy is not just about formal reading or instruction, but about how young children make meaning through everyday talk, play, and interactions. The Early Years Learning Framework 2022 makes this very clear when it describes children as effective communicators from birth. This also linked with Snow's 2016 research, which shows that children's oral language development in the early years is one of the strongest predictors of their later reading and writing achievement. For us as educators, this means paying attention to children's earliest interactions, conversations, and symbolic play. Second, the article highlights conversational reading as a powerful pedagogy. The authors describe how adults can use see, so, say strategy, where the children is not just a listener but an active meaning maker. For example, instead of simply reading the words, the adult might point to a picture. Simply reading the words, the adult might point to a picture, ask the child a question, and encourage them to explain what they see. This practice builds children's vocabulary, comprehension, and confidence in communication. The approach reflects Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, published in English in 2014, which explains that learning happens first between people before it becomes internalized. It also echoes Berner's concept of scaffolding from 1986, where adults adjust their support to extend children's learning. Third, the article stressed the need for authentic and culturally responsive assessment. The ELEA was trialed in Aboriginal communities in the Northern Territory, ensuring that it respects children's cultural and linguistic context. This is crucial because, as Karen Martin argued in 2017, Aboriginal ways of knowing, being, and doing must be acknowledged if assessments are to be valid and meaningful. Marie Clay, in her 2019 work on literacy lessons, also emphasized that assessments should reflect authentic learning situations rather than narrow, isolated skills. ELEA provides exactly this type of authentic insight. Finally, Scrolls and colleagues highlight equity and early intervention. Many Aboriginal children face systemic barriers to literacy, and without support, these gaps widens over time. Using tools like the ELEA allows educators to intervene early and design learning experiences that respond to children's strengths and needs. This directly links with the OECD's 2017 findings that early intervention is critical in reducing long-term educational inequities. For early childhood educators, this means not only observing and assessing children's engagement, but also advocating for resources and pedagogies that address equity from the very start of a child's learning journey. The second article by Lisa Kervin focuses on how digital play can support literacy development. Kervin highlights 5 key insights. First, digital play is an important side of multiliteracy learning. When children use apps on iPads, they are engaging with more than just print. They're combining images, sounds, gestures, and text. This reflects the pedagogy of multiliteracies described by Cope and Kalantsis in 2015, which argues that literacy is no longer about reading and writing but about being able to make meaning across multiple modes. For example, when a child records their voice and adds pictures to tell a story, they are already developing multiliteracy skills. Second, Carvin provides concrete examples of how children use digital tools creatively. Some explore YouTube to learn about networks, while others use iMovie to make stories, Minecraft to collaborate with peers, and Puppet Pals to create characters and narratives. These examples show that children do not just consume technology, they also produce knowledge, stories, and ideas through it. Edwards in 2017 supports this, is showing that children's digital play blends online and offline experiences, which helps them to connect learning across different contexts. Third, the article emphasizes that play remains at the center of literacy development. Even when using digital tools, children are still engaging in imaginative, playful activities. Through play, they experiment with language, role play, and storytelling. This connects with Flair's 2021 work on digital play worlds, where she found the digital context can extend children's imagination and problem-solving abilities. It also reflects the Early Years Learning Framework 2022, which positions play-based learning as a key practice for developing literacy and communication. Fourth, Kervin highlights that digital literacy is always mediated by others. Children often learn how to use apps through guidance from parents, siblings, or teachers. This echoes Vygotsky's sociocultural theory, where learning is socially constructed, and research by Mars and colleagues in 2018 found that children's digital practices are shaped by the cultural and social context around them. For educators, this means that our role is not just to provide technology but to scaffold and extend children's engagement with it. Finally, the article reminds us to be critical in selecting apps. Not all digital tools are beneficial. Some apps simply repeat drills, while others encourage creativity and problem solving. Educators need to be careful while evaluating which apps support multiliteracy learning. Neumann and colleagues in 2017 found that high-quality apps can promote phonological awareness and storytelling, while low-quality apps may actually limit opportunities for high-order thinking. This is where intentional teaching, as highlighted in EYLF 2022, becomes essential. When we bring these two articles together, a clear message emerges. School and colleagues shows us the importance of early, authentic, and culturally responsive assessment, along with conversational reading practices that build language and meaning. Carvins demonstrate how digital play opens up new multimodal ways for children, that together they remind us that literacy development is both traditional and contemporary. It is about stories, conversations, and relationships, but also about images, sounds, and digital creativity. For educators, this means providing a wide range of experiences guided by the EYLF 2022, which calls for inclusive, play-based, and future-focused pedagogies. In conclusion, these two articles shows us that supporting children's multiliteracy development requires a balance. We need to embed conversational, language-rich interactions, use authentic and culturally responsive assessments, integrate digital play in meaningful ways, and act as intentional teachers to scaffold children's learning. Our role as educators is to prepare children for a world where literacy is dynamic, multimodal, and constantly evolving. By combining traditional literacy practices with the contemporary approaches, we give children the skills and confidence to thrive as lifelong learners. Thank you.